All right, let's do another video. So this video is to share my thoughts on Legend Bowl's future, basically. Like, what are we going to do for Legend Bowl and how can it be different? So I want to play a game. In my last stream, I played with the NFL rosters, and they were cool to see, but the gameplay was really hard. And I had played on veteran and then I played on pro, but in this game, the matchups are important. And people who get this game, a lot of people say it's too hard or it's too difficult or the controls are too confusing. This is a sim game in a lot of ways. And if people look at the graphics and they look at the game and they jump right in, they're gonna have a tough time. So I put it on veteran, and if you look at the different levels, there's rookie, semi-pro, pro, and veteran. Maybe I'll just go pro for now, just to kind of see how it works. Sliders are just default at 50. But what I did do is I reset the rosters to the standard rosters that come with the game. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play as Washington, and I want to play with teams that are very close. So I'll probably do Washington and versus New Orleans, and let's see how that goes. And as I play the game, I figured I would do a video, and there's no camera today, so you don't get to see me live, but I am here, and I'm going to try to enjoy the game. Now, the sound might be a little low, so let me go ahead and adjust that, and then we'll get kind of started with things. So let me put it on 50 and then go from there. Okay, so should be able to hear the game somewhat. And again, this is going to be just a very nonchalant video for those people who are interested in hearing about Legend Bowl and studio news. Then this would be the video for you. So again, I'm going to be trying to play the game, but I'm also going to be rambling. So let's see who gets the ball first. All right, I'm going to take the ball. It's a windy day again. It's 10 mile per hour winds. So, it's behind our backs. So in this game, people may not understand that the wind is important, right? The wind does affect the balls. Oh my God. Did we get that ball? I got to see that again. Did we actually get the ball? Oh yeah. That's crazy. Huh. That's interesting. This guy's got gray hair. So let's talk about this game, right? So I want to do a little bit of history on it. I also want to do, ooh, see, there you go again. This game's tough. It is tough. I'm on pro right now. And I believe that pro doesn't really mess with any of the settings. Like when you play on different difficulties, like if you start to play a harder difficulty, then the computer gets some bonuses, right? They get adjustments to their roster to make it, harder, basically. That guy's more open. That feels better. And oh, gassed. So that seems easier, For some reason, the NFL rosters, they felt really, really ramped up. I think that they're probably juiced, which is fine, but you're going to have to use sliders and, just be careful, because that's the one thing that is important to remember when you get this game. People who get this game, they have to understand that the rosters do mean a lot. And it's funny because I have people that say all the time, they're like, oh, well, this game's rigged, the AI is broken. And to be honest, like a lot of the game is really depends on the roster and how and how good the players are. But I can already feel that it feels easier. And I may jump in and out of games because I want to test the difficulty, right? I'm going to bring the volume down a little bit because I'm not sure how loud it is. But anyways, getting back to the game and getting back to Legend Bowl. So I built Legend Bowl from the ground up from scratch, right? And it was just one thing at a time. You know, my initial plan was to make the best football game that I could make, right? And the way that I'm wired is I want to make a game that's more simulation. I'm a huge fan of 2K football, as those who follow me would already know. And if I could make another 2K football game, I would. If I could make a new all-pro football, that's what I would do. You know, watching on the bottom left where the formation is important in this game. If you take your time, just like all pro football, if you play all pro football, a lot of the buttons and the way the game was designed was strictly based off of that game, right? And so it is a hard game. It is a challenging game. It is a sophisticated game. It's not going to be something that you can just, you know, play casually and not really have any history with the game. You know, I'm going to get burnt here if I'm not careful. Oh, geez. Oh, wow. He went right. You know, somebody there might say that the game's broken because why did the guy go right when he could have gone left? Right? And I think he just got bumped into this guy, and then he saw this guy was being blocked, but the guy behind him, he wasn't really accounting for, and this guy. But there's something there that happened, and somebody would say, oh, the AI is broken, it could be improved. And I can tell you that the way the AI works, there's a reason why he went to the right. And it's hard. Like, making a football game is hard because on top of it, you may have coded it to do that, like on purpose, because you do need to add some errors, right? You need to add some mistakes, because in real life people make mistakes and you can't code the game to be perfect, right? And this quarterback on New Orleans likes to run, so this is going to be a totally different experience, right? And Washington's defense is really good. But again, I have two things I'm trying to do in this video. One is, like I said, test the difficulty. And the other is to kind of talk about Legend Bowl's future and, you know, ooh, that's a good move right there. That's all just me moving around. He's going to get gassed, though. And I do think that, to talk about the difficulty real quick, I do think the difficulty and the gameplay is very, very much dependent on the rosters. And I can already feel a difference just with this, right? That was a good pass. So let's just leave it at that. I answered that for right now. The rosters are definitely, something's up with those rosters, and you probably need to adjust the sliders to accommodate and get the gameplay that you really want to have. Whoa, I didn't know I got that. So going back to Legend Bowl, you know, I made this game from scratch, and I kind of, you know, built the best version of the game I could. And I spent many, many years working on it full time. And this is what came out of it. After I released it into early access, I continued to work on it for another year. And then I released it to be a full release. And then even then I've done many updates to it over time. And I created a DLC pack for it that's basically just a feature pack. And that hurt. And the game is a good game. It's a solid game on the field. It has a lot of features. When I first released the game, I didn't even know if I would have a full franchise mode. And I thought it was just going to be like a 1 year like season mode, and that was going to be the end of it. And franchise mode is what many people wanted, obviously. And I bit the bullet, and I went ahead and added a version of franchise mode in here that I thought was sufficient. And we are where we are. The game is pretty solid. You know, it's not perfect by any stretch. And that ball needs to go to the right a little bit. Jeez, that wind should have pushed it just a little bit more. And that was a tough kick. So where does that leave us? I need to start picking formations because formations are easier for me to deal with here. So they're going to probably run it. So I'll try to pick something that's more heavy duty. Like these motions that you can do now, I think that's part of the DLC pack. The game is improved, right? The game is improved. That's a nice little swap play. You know, that's cool. I like seeing that, even though I know it's a quick little out pass. This game surprises people when they play it. They're like, "Wow, how I didn't know this game was that sophisticated or that advanced, right?" And things like that are make the game fun, make the game cool, right? I told you I'd be rambling this video, and I'm holding my promise. But I'm trying to do two things. I'm trying to test out the game a little bit and get a feel for, you know, how it plays with the default rosters. And ooh, a sack. So going back to where I was with the Legend Bowl game, you know, it's a good game. It's a solid game. It has a lot of great things about it. It has some things that need to be improved. It has things that people may or may not like or prefer. You know, one of the avenues that I kind of went with was I wanted a more simulation-based game, but it's also arcadey. And I think when people jump into the game, they see, like I said before, they see the pixel art. They are already expecting a very arcade casual experience. And then when they jump in, they immediately are overwhelmed with the controls. They're overwhelmed with the difficulty of the game itself on the field and the complexity of the game. This is not just a mobile game. This is not just a typical game. And that's what I like, right? But in the end, you know, it's a matter of, that's good blocking right there. In the end, it's also a matter of, ooh, somebody got injured. It's a matter of what, it's twofold, right? On one hand, as a developer, you want to make what you want to make. You want to make a game that you're going to play or enjoy playing, or a game that you would love to see on the market that's not out, right? But on the other hand, you also need to think about your livelihood and the success of the game, right? The sales component. And that's one where I've struggled with because it's really hard to make a game and it's really hard to stay motivated making a game. And if you don't love what you're doing, then you're probably not going to have a good experience making games. You may not release it, you may not finish it. And yeah, so man, that was a good throw, but it was tight coverage. And the guy made a good play. This guy's a 77 overall, but he still got in front of the ball and swatted it down. That's a cool play. Little nuances like that are cool to see, right? Like I really like that play there. I enjoy defense, and people in this world are really, Jesus, that was bad. Are really accustomed to hand holding in games nowadays. They want the game to basically just be fun, like watching a good movie, right? They don't really want to work for anything or learn anything or get too in the weeds with how the game plays or how to get better at the game. That's rare these days. That used to be more popular when I was younger. But that's changed, right? And I think when people play this game, they don't know what to expect, but they also have their own preferences on what they would want to see in a football game, and in a pixel 2D football game at that, right? They're expecting a Tecmo Bowl. They're maybe even expecting a side scroll type of game until they see the trailer, right? But they have their own visual idea, dreamt up in their head about what they kind of want this game to be. And you have many people that want different things. And then you also have, like I mentioned, as a developer, you have the decision to make of, do you make what you want to make and forget about the money? Or do you make something that's more popular, right? That's going to bring in more traffic, more sales. And that's a tough line to walk, right? That's a tough place to be, because you don't really know what to do, right? Ideally, what would be great is if you can do both at once. Like, you can make the game you want to make, and the game that you want to make coincides with the game people want, right? And that's like a happy, that's like a perfect storm scenario, right? It's something that I think would be great. But that's not the case, right? And I was doing some research on these games this morning, and I was looking at the return rates, and I'm at a 17% return rate overall between College Bowl and Legend Bowl. So 17 point something percent of people return the game, and a lot of them said, like I said, it's too difficult, or it wasn't fun. And that's probably what most people will say about games. But I've really been trying to think about what to do next, and I always go back to football because I love football, and I also built an engine that I feel is worthy of continuing to build upon. It's a really good game, but like I said, you have to think about selling the game. And if I were to make a new version of Legend Bowl, and this is where I want to hear you guys in the comments, I'd love to hear your feedback on what you think would work. I know me personally, what I would want is a better Legend Bowl, right? Like, I would take the good things of the game and I would continue to, to hone in on those things. I would continue to improve those things. For instance, playbooks. I would definitely add playbooks to this game. I would do a play editor in the game. I would improve the depth of franchise. I would actually put trades in finally. I would actually, because I've already realized that that's what people want, and they don't really want something new. They don't want something that's really creative or intuitive. They don't want it to not be football. They want football. They want to recreate the real leagues that they watch every Sunday or Saturday or Thursday or Monday or Friday, whatever they follow, right? And if you're going to do that, you kind of want to see a simulation of the real thing. And so I would put the correct type of free agency. I would make sure that we have the right trade system where you have trade blocks, and you have, you would have salary caps, and you would have a legitimate traditional, franchise mode. And there are a lot of people that want that. There are a lot of people that want like a career mode type of thing where you're a player, you're a coach, and you try to work your way, across the league. There are a lot of things that people would want. Now, what can one person do with, that's going to be a big time miss probably. Jeez. I have the kicking hard right now, so I like the kicking to be more difficult, but that's just me. Yeah, I'm a fan of being punished for some reason. I guess I'm a masochist, I guess, but that's what I enjoy. I enjoy difficult games, and I like to learn and carve my way into getting better. Right? It gives me something to work towards. And going back to the franchise, like a traditional franchise, career modes, and there's so much you can do on the field. The game could be improved. The AI of the computer, especially if you add playbooks, the AI of the computer definitely could use a lot more work, right? The situational football awareness of when to call what plays and how to call those plays, and and what different strategies teams have, and make coaches become more important. Maybe add an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, and maybe make those coaches have some like real life control or impact on the game. There's a lot you can do. There's just a lot you can do. But the thing, here's the crux of it all. If I took this game and I left the menus the same and I left the guts the same and I just basically improved the game, people would expect, people would think that should be a DLC, right? It should be downloadable content, right? It's just updating a regular game, right? And I also wouldn't want that to be, the way that I do it, just because no, not that I wouldn't want it to be the way that I make it. It's more of what is a bet. I don't want people to be like, oh, this is just a reskin, or oh, this is just, an update to whatever. It's not it's not worthy of a sequel type of thing, Come on. It's I don't really want those kind of comments. I want people to say, oh, this game feels fresh. It feels like Legend Bowl, but it doesn't look exactly like Legend Bowl looks. And that's the hard part, because, if you're gonna take on that kind of a challenge, well, then you got to create brand new UI. Your modes are going to be different. They're going to look different. You're going to kind of have to start from scratch. And as an indie game developer, that is very hard. And I don't really have the kind of runway to work on this game for another 6 years without getting paid. I can't do that. So I'm trying to think about what makes the most sense. And I know what makes the most sense when you don't think about sales and you don't think about the business aspect and you don't think about customers complaining and you think about just the game. And I know that making the game better by improving what is already here makes the most sense for all of the reasons that I'm kind of talking about here, right? And leverage what I have, build upon what I have. I mean, that was the foundation. That was like my plan from day one when I built this. Was I want to build a game. I want to build a game that you can feel proud of, and that has the potential to scale, right? I didn't want to build a game that was horrible, obviously, or fundamentally broken, where it had no room for, any type of future, right? I wanted to build something that I felt was a strong candidate for a future, football engine. And so it almost feels illogical to go backwards. It feels like, okay, I'm going to start a brand new canvas, a brand new game. But, the game's also a little stale for some people, right? They may want to see new menus. They may want to see new graphics. They may want to see obviously new animations, which, by the way, that's a hole that I kind of put myself in with this game, because every animation, and I'll show you for fun, but every animation consists of a lot of different pieces. This is just the standing animation. He's just standing idle, right? The hair, the face, the eyebrows, the eyes, the arms, all different. Like the arms are split up into probably 5 or 6 different pieces because of the equipment that we have now, right? Like the long sleeves or the elbow pads or the QB guard or the the hands are different, right? They have the tape. You have the ones that have the socks, the shoes, everything in this on this character is sliced up into probably, I mean, I don't even know. And then you got to multiply it by how many, options you have. Like the hair options are through the roof. And so if you create an animation, a new animation, well, that animation needs to be sliced up into all of these pieces. And then it also needs to add every single variation. So you have to plug in however many hairstyles, and you have to put them in the game as brand new images and brand new sprites. So as I've also thought about doing away with all the customization and building something that has a lot of animations, right? Because in the end, these guys have helmets on, right? Like if you look at these characters, they're not anything special, right? They're hidden by their by their helmets, right? Like these three guys here, does it really matter? And I'm talking about their helmets. And then now, yeah, accessories are cool. This guy has sleeves on, right? This guy has sleeves on, and this guy has sleeves, and he has one sleeve on one side, and whatever's on the other side, that's just his skin. That guy has a band on his arm, number 81. Like it is cool to see the different face masks and I can still keep that. But like, my point is that adding new animations with adding it onto this game is a lot of work. Like if I added 5 new animations, that feels like a month's worth of work. Like it's just a lot of, maybe even more than that. I don't even know. It's a lot of work, right? And so I've kind of put myself into that constraint as from a design perspective, and I'm not really thrilled about it, but there's that piece to think about too. And the point of all this is there are a lot of decisions that need to be made when you're building any game, let alone if you're trying to move forward with a new version of your game, right? A new sequel, right? Or a new yearly iteration or whatever, like the sports games do. Man, fumbles are hot and heavy this game. And that's something that, I have to consider. There are many, 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 many things I have to consider. And I've also asked, the beta team guys what their thoughts are. Now you're going to have all of their input and what they think. And it all has to, not only do you have to think about all of these things, but it all has to kind of roll into a certain work scope, right? Like, what am I willing to take on? How long is my runway? What can I spend on the game financially? What resources do I have available to me? What makes the most sense? And I can tell you that just from a raw, like, numbers perspective, this is going to be a rough play to defend. I feel like I would love to start with a brand new canvas. I really would. I would love to start with a brand new canvas, brand new UI, brand new modes, and take what I can from this game, which is, there's never any copy paste. There always has to be some level of legwork that has to happen to manipulate the code to go over, right? With that said, it would be cool to start from scratch because if you do start something, I'm gonna call timeout. That if you do start a brand new project, that even if you're using a lot of the same artwork, you can probably guarantee the game's gonna feel different. It's gonna look a little different. I would want to do brand new UI because my UI is, even though I don't hate the UI, it's a little bit convoluted in the code. So it's hard sometimes to add new menu options or new pages. It can be a little difficult. And I also would love to change the look of the game. I almost would want to make something different. I mean, I think about more modern looking type of games that have those panels all over the place. Like the new Maximum Football game, if you've played that game has panels everywhere. And I'm not saying it would look just like that, but just a more modern looking type of game, or some other style that, that is cool, whether it be a retro, old school game or, something else. But just, I would love to just do something that looks fresh. But you got to think about what's important. And like I said, I see it as the two main pillars, right? There's the sales part of it, which how do you differentiate the game to make it, feel, I just threw a bomb. Jesus, that wind. How do you make the game feel new and worthy of somebody's attention to say, you know what, I want to try this game, right? I want to really, really try this game. Someone might say, oh, make a DLC pack. Well, I don't want to make a DLC pack because they don't make enough money and nobody buys them. And I need to make a living doing this, right? So there are a lot of decisions that need to be made, and there's a lot that needs to be thought through if I end up doing this. I'm not saying that I'm going to, so definitely don't, don't hold your breath here or get too excited if you're a fan. I'm working on the porting right now of College Bowl. Okay, people keep asking me this, and I think I've been saying it for quite a while. I've had some issues where we've had, to pivot and make some directional changes, but I'm working on the porting as we speak, and that's going slower than I would want, but it's moving. And then the next thing is, what do I do next? And I'm thinking about continuing to build upon this game. I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to hear people's feedback, whether it be on here or on Discord. And I would love to, get an idea of what people think makes sense. Now, this isn't just hey, throw all your ideas out there on, oh man, it would be so great if they had online multiplayer. That's not going to happen probably. More of like, if you were a developer or you've seen other developers or studios out there, how would you navigate this, right? Like, how would you decide what to do? And if you went the route of just taking this game and improving upon it, changing the UI, I mean, I could still take this same game and try to revamp the UI. It's going to take work though, right? It's going to take a lot of work, but you have to find a way to make the game, appealing. You got to have a new logo. You have to have, new wallpaper, like just new cover art. You have to have, things that sell games. I mean, look at Madden every year, right? Madden they start their game with meetings on what can they put on the box, on the cover of the game to make the game sell. They're looking at the entire game from a sellability standpoint, right? Marketability. They're trying to figure out what is going to get people to love this game. Is it going to be a certain cover art guy, player? Is it going to be a certain mode or certain feature? Or what's the new, QB DNA or whatever they call these different things? Like there's all these different lingo terms that they come up with that that get people talking. They're really good at coming up with these names. I can't really think of ones. I've heard many, but I can't think of the ones that I'm trying to remember. Angry Joe has great videos on this, and he's always talking about like all their different lingo, but it sells. Like people get excited about these new systems and new technologies that are in the game that make the game so great. And obviously they update their graphics, they update their sound quality, they update their presentation for the most part. Still not as good as ESPN 2K5 in my opinion, but nobody's done it as well as them. I think it would be even great on here to have like a 2K5 broadcast system where it's like, you have your weekly wrap up video. That's hard. I don't even know how they did that, by the way, but I know that there's probably a way to do that. I know Sean, he was trying to do an engine to make an engine where the game literally plays the same exact way it's playing right now. Like guys move around and jump and do animations, and the game really like sim. When you sim a game, it actually sims with the real game running in like 100, X speed. And then you have all of the replays basically that you can, replay for the week. That would be really cool to do. But then those are the kind of things that would take a lot of time, and then maybe I couldn't do the flashy marketing things, that would sell the game, right? So that's where I'm struggling. It's like if I start with a brand new blank canvas and I try to make a brand new looking game, well then there goes half the features, right? So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. I also wanted to just test this as well, like I mentioned, to see how the game plays. There are a lot of turnovers in this game. Some of them are my fault, but I'm seeing a lot of fumbles, but that can happen. I can tell you right now, if I play 10 different games, you're going to see all sorts of different things happening. So one of the things I also wanted or I'm also thinking about, because of the returns and because of the like onboarding process, I want that to feel better, right? And I think I talked about it in the stream. I want people to play the game and instantly have fun, right? It could just be diving into a real match and it's, Super Bowl or something, or it's like the last, X number of minutes of a game. And You know, I want people to jump in and really get to feel like they're having a good time, right? And so that's kind of what I'm thinking about too, because right now in this game, you jump into just a traditional, you don't jump into anything off the bat. You have to kind of like, it's just a traditional football game. You have to go through the menus, and maybe you pick like an exhibition game, and then you get thrown into a tutorial, you know, if you want to do it. And if you don't do it, then you don't know how to play the game. And it's just like, then you play the game and you get your first impression. And if people think that there's too many like this game, they'd probably be like, oh, there's too many turnovers. This game's broken, or the wind's too crazy, or the kicking's too hard. And they just return the game, right? Because people want to buy the game, and they have to quickly make a decision because people return stuff all the time. And not only is it about returns, but it's also about giving people a great first impression. You know, and I've learned a lot of this from making my first 2 games. I've learned that there's a lot of psychology that, like I talked about, there's a lot of psychology that goes into, and human behavior that goes into how people experience games. And everybody experiences them differently. And if you can find a way to give them a better experience, a more positive experience, well then, you know, I'm throwing into double coverage, and I'm throwing in the wind, and I'm killing myself. You can't loft the ball in the wind in this game. Not 10 mile an hour wind. It'll just sail on you. So thinking about the user's experience, thinking about what makes people feel positive about what they're playing is important. You know, it's important. And those are the types of things I really would like to kind of revisit and kind of shoot around and just brainstorm on, because I really think that this game is a great game. I really do. I think that it has so much opportunity to be even better. And every time I play the game, and I've been playing this game for a long time, so trust me, if anybody can say this, it's me. I should be bored of this game. I should be completely disgusted by the game, because I've been working on it for a long time. And when I play it, I always come back with a smile on my face, because I'm like, man, this game actually plays pretty well. You know? God, man, that's hard to throw with that win. The game plays really well. So I'd love to hear your guys' comments, your guys' feedback. I really would love to hear people tell me who have played this game, right? Or even the ones that, you know, I think anybody who's played it will be the most beneficial feedback, but, you know, really think about what is the best route to take, and how can we make this product grow? And do you even agree? Is it a great game? Is it not a great game? Does it have potential? Is there an audience that wants this game? And so that's it. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. Hopefully you guys can give me some feedback, and stay tuned. There's going to be more news, and I'm still around, still here. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.